In this quick set, I'll be exploring climate anxiety and the steps you can make right now that will make a significant difference on climate change. I'm Sabrina, and I want to talk to you about the impact of climate change like you've never heard it before. The wildfires in Australia, California, and Europe, the South Asia floods, and the East African drought. These are all the natural disasters that are happening in our world today. Closer to home, some of us are feeling the impact of rising energy costs due to high gas prices and the consequential shortage of CO2. I am not sharing these images to scare you. I'm sharing them to show you the reality we are living in. Even if you believe you're not personally affected by the changes to our world, as humans, we have had a massive impact on our planet for thousands of years, which has led to overpopulation, pollution, deforestation, just to name a few. You will be affected in some way directly or indirectly. Some of us are so concerned and committed to the cause that they find themselves affected by something called climate anxiety. Climate anxiety, also known as eco-anxiety, can be experienced by people who are worried about the future of the planet because of the climate crisis. People experiencing climate anxiety might feel overwhelmed by the global problems we are facing or fearful about the future of our planet. It is becoming more common in young people, and it's so important to remember that you are not alone. Our planet is 4.5 billion years old, and each of us will only be here for a snapshot of those years. So it's important that we all take care of it. But firstly, why should we care about climate change, and how will this affect us? We are already seeing and experiencing significant effects on our environment, and if our planet continues to get used and abused, things can only get worse. The impact includes decline in water or undrinkable water, health impacts in cities due to extreme heat and rising temperatures, intense floods and droughts, diseases transmitted from insects, and the weather will even start to affect our body's nervous and respiratory system because of poor air quality. If we don't act now, this is what our world can look like in just a few years. What's important to remember is that we can all make a change now and prevent these disasters from happening. So I can hear you asking, what are the small steps I can take to make a difference? Here's a video by the Climate Pledge to get you focused.
What can businesses do to help fight the climate crisis?
Alcune idee ce le ho.
Do more sustainable farming. It's a thing now.
Use wind or solar.
Go all electric faster. I dare you.
I'm only 6. You figure it out.
What's it gonna take for you to do something?
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Climate change affects all of us.
This is your chance to do something good.
The charity Friends of the Earth suggests some easy ways to begin your environmentally friendly campaign. Save water. Turn off the tap if you're not using it. For example, when brushing your teeth or washing dishes, have a shower instead of a bath. Help bees. Limit your lawn mowing and plant more flowers. That leads to my next one, plant trees. If you have the space to grow your own fruits and vegetables, that would be great. Stop plastic waste. Avoid plastic packaging. Eat less meat. Meat and dairy products is responsible for 14% of climate-changing gases. Walk or ride a bike to short destinations, and it can also result in healthy lifestyle changes as well as saving money, or even carpool. Switch to renewable energy. Unplug unused electronics, change light bulbs to LED, turn off lights when you're leaving a room. Buy local. For example, use charity shops. If you are willing to be more proactive, you can consider campaigning and volunteering with environmental organisations. Here are some good ones. UK Youth Climate Coalition, who are looking to mobilise and empower young people to take positive action for global climate justice. Friends of the Earth, who bring people together to make their communities more climate friendly and fight against climate weakening projects. There's also the Wildlife Trust, British Ecological Society, and many more. I spoke to an amazing guest speaker, John Alexander, who shared his knowledge on what happens if we don't take action, and as well as advice to help people who suffer from climate anxiety.
Thank you for having me. So my name's John Alexander. I run a consultancy business called the New Citizenship Project, and I'm involved in all sorts of stuff, all really relating to the idea of thinking of ourselves and each other as citizens rather than just as consumers. I'm all about like building hope in each other and engagement in society and believing that actually we can solve the problems of our world. What happens if we don't take action as individuals on climate? Well, the thing is, it's not going to go well. If we don't get stuck in, if we don't change things, then we're on a really bad trajectory. And it's already happening. It's not like this is a problem for the future. Like we're seeing wildfires, serious storms, floods all over the world pretty constantly now. Like the effects of climate emergency, climate breakdown are here with us already. And so if there isn't action taken, then all sorts of things are going to get much, much worse. The thing is, though, that the framing of the question being about individual action is a little bit misleading. Like it is important that we all do stuff, but my friend Rob Hopkins, who wrote a book called From What Is to What If, about the power of imagination and community in this sort of space, he has a way of putting this. He says, if we act as individuals, it'll be too little. If we wait for government, it'll be too late. But if we come together and act as communities and groups and networks and friendships, then it will be enough just in time. And that, I think, is the real core of this spirit. Like the fact is that the climate emergency is with us, and being anxious about it, climate anxiety is a very rational thing. But if it makes us disengage, if it makes us just do the little things that we can do on our own, or if it makes us ignore the problem completely, that's when we have a real problem. So the advice I would give to people who are feeling climate anxiety, who are feeling anxious about this stuff, who are talking about it and worrying about it, is a couple of things really. The first is the absolute basis is don't disengage. Like facing into climate anxiety, like admitting that you feel it, because other people do as well. And when you talk about it, that's absolutely the first beginning, because not just because like talking about these things helps us cope with them, helps us think through them, helps us sit with them, but also because it's when we talk about these things that we start to build the relationships that then lead to community. And those relationships that start to mean we have more power. Like when we come together, we multiply our power. When we act in community, we have so much more impact. When rather than just deciding whether I'm going to recycle, I form a group with people and we get our council to massively improve their recycling facilities. That's a massive change in the level of impact you can have. And so this is the sort of thing I'm really interested in. It's like, don't disengage. Do read up on stuff, do face into it, and then get organized, like get involved, find others, because there are others who care as well, and massively increase your impact by doing that. I want to finish just, there's a lovely quote from, I've given you a quote for the first question, I'll give you a quote for the second. Lovely quote from a woman called Rebecca Solnit, who wrote a book called Hope in the Dark. And she has this lovely definition of hope. She says, optimism is the belief that things will be all right without doing anything. And pessimism is the belief that things will be screwed up no matter what we do. And what she says is that both of those excuse us from action. And she talks about hope as being a combination of clarity and imagination, like seeing the troubles of the world for what they are, and imagining, being able to believe and see a future that could be different. And what she says is the key to this is community, agency, coming together to multiply our power and change the world around us. So what I would say to you, if you're feeling anxious about climate, you're perfectly rational to do so. Talk to other people, find other people who feel the same, and come together with them and figure out what you want to do together. There's so many ways that we can change the world, and we'll build relationships and have a lot more fun as we do so. So that's where I would leave you. You guys are doing amazing stuff just being part of this program. You're going to create the future, and you're going to make it an awful lot better than my generation has.
Some great advice on how to work as a community to impact social change. I also got to speak to Mae Muller about the impact of the music business on climate change, and here's what she had to say. Hi Mae, it's so nice to have you here. So my quick set is all about climate anxiety, and I just want to ask you a few questions about it. And when I was doing this quick set, I was researching a lot about climate anxiety, which I didn't know what it was before, but realized that I did suffer from it to an extent. Do you feel like when it comes to climate anxiety and worrying about what the climate's going to be in the future, have you ever been affected by that?
Yeah, I think obviously, it's kind of exploded in the past few years, I suppose. And then you're seeing, there's like insane like fires and there's flooding. And I feel like because now it's a shame that it takes us to actively see like the destruction for us to be like, this isn't good, is it? Like, this is not, so I think, and obviously how can you see that, without getting anxious about it? So I guess for sure I've felt it. But I think it's not a good thing, but people should be scared, And I think we gotta have a kick up the backside and really, really come together and try and do something about it, because it's a scary thing, It is. We gotta love our planet.
Exactly, and I love how you said sometimes to make change you kind of have to be scared, because that's going to give you the push that you need. And you kind of briefly answered this in the first question, but how do you think artists can go about helping the environment and kind of reducing climate change?
I feel like a lot of it is just like using your platform, and I feel like a lot of artists, like that's a thing that we have, which is such a privilege. Like we have a platform, and obviously we're sharing our music, we're posting selfies, doing all that, but I think when it comes down to it, we really should also be spreading awareness. And we could all improve on that, I think. So I think it's just about getting the message out there, and because you never know, it might seem like an obvious thing, well, it's climate change, like everyone knows about that, but there might be one follower of yours like their family's not talking about it, like their friends aren't talking about it, so you might actually be like their only source of information, like you don't know. So I think it's just about spreading the word in a good
and
way.
Seeing you speak about it might even motivate them and inspire them.
Exactly, that's the whole point. I think it's like a little domino effect.
100%. But thank you so much, Mae.
Thank you.
It's so important to take action when it comes to climate change. However, it is also vital to not become too overwhelmed and let it affect your mental health. If you are feeling this way, it's so important to stop and detox. Take time away from climate news for a while. Try not to think too far into the future and start with small steps. One thing at a time, one day at a time. It's good to talk to someone about how you're feeling and remember that you are not alone. Do just one thing this week to save the environment. If you don't know where to start, here are some simple tasks. Recycle, recycle, recycle. Plastic, paper, cardboard, cans, clothes, shoes, empty aerosols. It is so easy. You can utilize the local authority bins or the recycle banks at local supermarkets. Do just one thing by the end of the month. Invest in a refillable water bottle or coffee cup, and let's all contribute to getting our planet back in shape for our children's children, one step at a time. My closing quote comes directly from the World Wildlife Fund. Who do you want to be? The generation that lost it all, or the generation that chose to fight?